So earlier this week, the St. Louis Cardinals unveiled their City Connect uniforms. Now, for those who don't know what City Connect uniforms are, and this comes from the Wikipedia page on it, they are designed to reflect the cultural aspects of a team's home city. But looking at some of these uniforms, I am highly dubious of that definition. Though I gotta admit, the Cardinals City Connect uniforms, they aren't too bad. I mean, they're still red. They still have that classic St. Louis Cardinals logo, the one with the bat and the two Cardinals on either end. Though instead of St. Louis on the jersey, it says the Lou. Honestly, you know what that sounds like to me? It sounds like it was made up by the kind of person who wants to come off as looking hip to all the kids out there. And instead, they come off looking like a total putz factory. In fact, they seem like a living Steve Buscemi meme. You know, the one where he's like holding the skateboard going, "What's up, fellow kids?" Also, by the way, the loo is a British slang expression for the bathroom. So maybe not the best idea to put the loo on your uniform. But even despite that, it's not as bad as some of the other City Connect uniforms I've seen from Major League Baseball. The Padres City Connect uniform, that looks like the team was walking through a crayon factory when all the fluorescent crayons there just exploded on them. The Boston Red Sox ones, they're really hideous. They're bright blue and yellow, and I don't know what those colors have to do with Boston. The Giants ones are bland. Same with the Royals. Honestly, I really find nothing appealing about any of these City Connect uniforms. They either look like they were designed by art students hopped up on 4 Red Bulls or by art students who, well, got kicked out of art school. I don't find them visually appealing. Now, full disclosure, I am not an artist. I can't even draw stick figures well. I am also the furthest thing from a fashionista. To me, being dressed up means I'm wearing an LL Bean flannel shirt and jeans. Still, even for those people like me who aren't into art, aren't into fashion, we still have a sense of what looks nice and what doesn't. And those City Connect uniforms to me don't look nice. Though, to me, and I admit, I might be making a big leap here. I think it's just part of a bigger problem in society today where there are just not enough people embracing true creativity and true beauty. In fact, there seems to be a push by many to make our society ugly and or bland. Don't believe me? Well, take a look at the architecture we have today. Now, take a walk down, say, Mount Vernon Street or Pleasant Street here in Prescott. The houses there look unique. They have their own personality. Now you go to a housing development built in the last 10 or 15 years. Does anything there stick out to you? Does anything there catch your eye? It's just uniform designs and uniform colors. The same with cars. And I'm not even a car person, but most of the designs we have today, I feel, are just utilitarian. We've got none of the curves, none of the sleekness that cars had 40, 50, 60 years ago. Why do you think classic cars stick out to you more these days? Even the colors of the vehicles today are just, they just don't stand out. Again, in my opinion, and to me, it's one of the bigger controversies in video games today, but especially from YouTubers. They've mentioned this. YouTubers like Geeks and Gamers, Melanie Mack, they say one of the biggest issues with video game companies is they're deliberately making their female characters ugly. And it feels to me there are people who just want to starve our souls of beauty and inspiration and awe. I know, maybe that sounds like I'm getting into tinfoil hat territory, but that's just the way I feel. And maybe they're doing it because, well, they're joyless people and they want to make the rest of us just joyless and miserable. Or maybe they think creativity inspires independent thought, and well, we can't have that anymore because independent people are harder to manipulate. Yeah, now I'm really sounding like I'm getting into tinfoil hat territory there. Or they just don't like traditional standards of beauty and art because it's tied to the past and the past is bad. Or maybe just some people are just lazy and untalented, and then the people above them are lazy and uninspired, and they look at all these design things and just go, good enough. Or it could be just cold hard economics, and they feel that creativity just costs too much. And like I said, I don't know. I just know that older homes around Prescott and classic cars really catch my eye. And I'll tell you this, I will take the technicolored striped Houston Astros uniforms and the all gold Pittsburgh Pirate uniforms and even the green and gold Oakland A's uniforms of the 1970s over the cruddy City Connect uniforms that we have in present day Major League Baseball. Maybe that's because I started liking baseball back in the late 70s and I just have an affinity for those uniforms. Though the Phillies all burgundy uniforms and those White Sox uniforms with the shorts, they can definitely stay in the past, never to be revived. All right, folks, 928-541-1016, number to call here on the Tri-City Sports Roundup. Again, 928-541-1016. We're kicking off our slate of Saturday morning talk shows here on KYCA, 1490 AM, 103.5 FM, online at kyca.info, live streamed on the KYCA Facebook page. You can also check us out on YouTube as well at KYCA Digital. Also, our Vimeo channel, KYCA Vimeo. And again, a start to our Saturday slate of local talk, Tri-City Sports Roundup right now. Coming up at 9 o'clock, we've got Healthline with Dr. David Hancock, and I do believe Doc Hancock is back today from vacation. Then at 10 o'clock, we've got AZ Drive Time. So we've got sports, we've got health, and we've got automotive for you all in one place. Also, just this special announcement, 2 weeks from today, on June 1st, well, as the summer is getting nearer, we will be kicking off our annual Summer Top 10 list. Top 10 freshmen, top 10 teams, top 10 coaches, top 10 local grads at college, top 10 games, top 10 female athletes, top 10 male athletes of the year. So you can expect that throughout the summer here on the Tri-City Sports Roundup. Speaking of top athletes, well, we've got 4 of them here in the studio today. Yeah, it's crowded in the studio today. We have from the Prescott track and field team, Aubrey Kitahata and Wiley Monet. From the Chino Valley track and field team, we've got Quentin Metz and Tony Hackey. We were hoping to have some representation from Bradstone Mountain track and field, but none of their athletes could make it. So we'll be talking to them about the past track and field season and, of course, the state championships that all 4 of these athletes brought home to the Tri-City area. That'll be coming up right after this. Welcome back to the Tri-City Sports Roundup, everyone. John Rust with you here. And today on the show, I am surrounded by champions. Joining us on our show from Prescott High School Track and Field, I have Aubrey Kitahara and Wiley Monet, part of the Prescott Track and Field Girls 4x400 State Championship team. And right across from me from Chino Valley Track and Field, I have Quentin Metz and Tony Hackey, who are part of Chino's 4x800 Boys State Championship team. Gentlemen, ladies, thanks for being with us on the show today.
Of course. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. And, well, Quentin, I'm going to start with you. First off, for you and Tony, and, of course, you can't forget Javier Johns and Landon Smith, part of your team. First off, congratulations on what you guys did there, bringing home a state championship. And Quentin, that state championship that you got in the 4x8, that came by what, just like an eyelash, didn't it?
Yeah, it did. It was really fun to watch. I didn't think you could do it, but I saw him at the end. I'm like, oh, wow, he did it. I was literally jumping up and down, and you could see it on the live feed from the meet.
And, well, Tony, you're the one who got that winning run there. I'm almost sounding like I'm talking about baseball. But I believe you told me that, and I still can't believe this. You guys got that state championship in the 4x8 by, what was it, 0.02 seconds?
Yeah.
So talk about what you did in order to, just beat out the other guy by, like, that much, get that state championship. What did it take for you?
Well, when I got the baton, we were like 40 meters behind Snowflake at the time, so I honestly didn't know if we could. And then going on to the second lap, Sabino and West Foothills passed me. And then with like 250 meters left, I didn't even know how much I had left. I was just like, I got to try for my team, so I started kicking. And we came around the curb to the last 100 meters, and I saw Snowflake was right there. So I started kicking as hard as I could to try and pass him, and I just caught him right at the end over the line.
And Quentin, what leg were you on for a 4x8?
I was the second leg.
Okay. And, well, when you were watching Tony and seeing how far he was behind, what were your thoughts? Were you thinking, there's no way he's going to be able to catch these guys?
It was like split for me. I knew that Tony always like has a really good last lap, but then I also saw him fade, and I'm like, uh-oh, are we going to even get a medal? But then I was like, he can do it.
Great. And now, turning over to Prescott here, Aubrey, Wiley, you ladies also brought home the state championship, this one in the 4x400, so not as much running as these guys had to do. So now, Aubrey, how close was your victory in the, Aubrey, how close was your victory in the 4x4 at state?
I feel like for the 4x4, the first day, I feel like we really had a strong pace and we were able to make it through. And we qualified for it, so I feel like we were able to push ourselves. And I know we didn't want to make it too much into the second day, but we were able to push through, and we did, which I'm proud of us for doing.
And how close was the race there in the 4x4, Wiley?
So it ended up being really close to 7th place. Our last runner, she caught up by. She was close to by 2 feet, I think. So we could have had 7th, but it just wasn't in our cards that day.
Yeah, and actually, I'm sorry, I was talking about the Division III state meet. Is what I was talking about. Yeah, okay. Sorry about that.
No, that's fine. Sorry. I'm not sure how far ahead we were. Probably like 25 meters.
I feel like we had a really strong, that day, I feel like we knew we were seated first, and we had a lot of drive that day. I feel like we kind of just pushed through, and we always, say, the faster we do it, the faster we get over. Yeah. So I feel like we just pushed ourselves and wanted to get another PR because we tend to do that.
That meet, we ended up, how much did we PR by that?
We PR'd by 4 seconds that day.
4 seconds that day.
Okay. And for those at home who may not be familiar with track and field lingo, PR just means personal record.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So, and I guess the other, and also I guess just kind of reiterating here, there are actually kind of 2 state meets that you guys took part in. One was for your separate divisions. Prescott was in Division 3, Chino's in Division 4, but then you have the open state meet, and that is where they take the top athletes from all the divisions, 1 through 5, and they just throw them together in one big meet. And Wiley, talk about how challenging that is to not just be taking on, because you were also in the open state meet for the 4x4. Talk about how challenging it is to not only take on the runners in your division, but also in some of the bigger and even the smaller divisions there.
So you hear a lot about the other divisions and their top runners, and I think sometimes that gets in your head, and you're like, oh, well, this person is running 5 seconds faster than me. Like, I don't know if I'll be able to catch up or push myself that hard. But when you have that much pressure around you, then, like, you end up doing better than you thought you could, and that's kind of how it went for us in our 4x4.
All right. And Tony, now you ran in the 800-meter run at the Open State meet. Talk about what that was like for you, knowing that, hey, it's not just people in Division 4 I'm running against. I'm going up against, like the best in all the divisions here in Arizona.
I mean, honestly, it wasn't too bad because I looked at the times and I could see from I was seated second to last, but all the way up till 10th, it was only like the difference of a second. And I knew like I could get top 10. But then once the first lap started, I honestly got scared because I was like dead last at the end of the lap. But then I passed 10 people on the second lap, so it was really relieving after that, and it was satisfying. So.
And Quentin, I guess the other thing is I'm sure like during the season when you go to these big invites, it's not just say Division 4 teams you're running against, it's also teams from other divisions. So do you feel that gives you some preparation, some idea of what to expect when you get to the Open State meet?
Yeah, I think, I already knew who all these people are because I like talked to them and I've raced with them before. So yeah, I look at their times on athletic.net. So.
All right, and Aubrey, for yourself going into the Open State meet, do you feel there's a little more pressure on you ladies for Open State than there was in the Division 3 state meet?
I definitely think there was a lot more pressure because we got that far and now it's like we have to do our best. Like we know we have to try our hardest, and not like we didn't do that for any of the other meets, but like that meet was like the most important. And we also didn't want to disappoint any of the coaches or ourselves because we wanted to make it as far as we could. So. And
you guys came in 8th in that one for the 4x4,
yes,
right?
Yes, we did.
Okay. And Tony, you were in 8th place finish for the 800 Open State, right?
Yeah.
And Quentin, 18th place at the Open State meet in the 1600, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And also, speaking of the 1600, we were talking about the state championship that you guys had in the 4x8 and the Division 4 ranks. But you two also came very close to bringing home individual state titles because, Quentin, I believe you were the runner-up in Division 4 in the 1600. So talk about what that race was like for you.
It was really interesting because I was in like 3rd and 4th the whole race, and I just kept like following the lead pack. But then on the last lap, I heard like a bunch of footsteps coming by me, and I'm like, oh, I really want to medal. So I just started sprinting, and I got into first place. But then the Page kid caught up to me. But it was a really close race, and I was really happy with it.
Page, Page has normally had some like really good cross country and distance runners, haven't they?
Yeah, they have. Yeah, the kid who beat me was a sophomore. So.
Oh, brother. Well, I guess we're gonna have to look for him over the next couple of years, man. And Tony, you also had a state runner-up finish in Division 4, and this was in the 800-meter run. So talk about what that race was like for you.
It was pretty. That one actually, I was more nervous than Super State was, because going into it, like I always start out last. When everybody takes off, because they all have that adrenaline, they take off super fast. I always start out last. But then coming onto the end of the first lap, I was like, I know I'm seated second, and I think I have to make a move now. So I went earlier than I normally do and started sprinting. And then like the last 50 meters, I kind of started dying out. And the kid who won it, Jack Hemling, he was only a couple of meters in front of me. We were both dying, but I just couldn't catch up to him. And then this other kid came up out of nowhere, caught me, got past me. And I was like, no, I'm not going to let him beat me, like not even trying. So I started kicking as hard as I could again. And I caught him by 0.01 on that too for second place. So, yeah.
Another lean there.
Yeah, that was another lean.
So basically, it sounds to me like you're the living embodiment of the old cliche, it's not how you start, it's how you finish.
Yeah. I did the same thing in the 4x4 too, because we were in dead last and I was the anchor. And then with like 5 meters left, I caught the kid who was in 7th place, and I leaned past him so that we wouldn't finish last in that too. So, yeah.
Oh man. And Aubrey, we're talking about the state championship that the girls 4x4 got, but you also almost came home with another state title because I believe you were the runners-up at the Division 3 state meet in the 4x100. So talk about that race.
Yes.
Oh man, Wiley just kind of leaned her head back. Why do I feel like I'm going to get just a really just kind of like, rip out your heart kind of story here?
Well, that day, I think there was just a little bit of pressure. I think we're all a little bit anxious. So me and Wiley usually have a flawless handoff, but that day I think we were just a little bit anxious, and I think I didn't yell stick loud enough, and it just kind of made our handoff. It was just a little messed up, I think.
So Wiley, I can see the disappointment and the angst on your face. So you want to tell us a little more about that, and unless it's maybe too painful to recap.
It's okay. Well, that day it was really nervous, nerve-wracking, because there were so many teams there, and we were ranked first. So I was like, oh, we have to get first because we're ranked first. And so the race starts, she gets to me, and then I turn and go, and then I hear everyone around me yelling stick, and I can't hear her. So I just throw my hand up, and she and I couldn't feel it hit my hand, so I started searching with my hand, and then I had to turn around and grab it. And so that wasted so much time, and it was my fault. And so but then we ended up finishing second, so it wasn't too bad.
Yeah. Oh, man. And well, the other thing was we also got to mention your teammates there in the relay, because you got Kenzie Blanchard, and you had Violet Williams, who was actually the anchor there. And, just talk about their contributions to bringing home that state title and the runner-up.
Yes, I definitely feel like for Kenzie, she has a really good stride. She really gets it. And, between Wiley and Kenzie, their handoff through the season has gotten a lot better. It's obviously at the end it was flawless. And Kenzie just really holds a really good spot in the third leg. And Violet fights. She's a fighter at the end of the race. So definitely for her, that was how we PR definitely a lot. So she really likes to win. So that helps contributing to that. But.
And, of course, Wiley, it wasn't only that event that Kenzie and Violet were in, but they also did very well individually. I think Kenzie, if I'm not mistaken, I think she was a top 10 finish in one of the hurdles. Violet was a top 5 finish in a couple of the sprints, wasn't she?
Yeah, I think the 100 and the 200.
Yeah.
And then Kenzie also did high jump, and I think she did really well. She might have placed top 5 in divisional state. I'm not really sure.
Yeah.
Because along with what you're doing individually, I think as a team, Prescott wound up 4th in the Division III state meet, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so definitely big doings here. So, all right, folks, coming up to a break here on Tri-City Sports Roundup, and it is Champions Day here on the show. We've got Quentin Metz and Tony Hackey from Chino Valley Track and Field, part of their 4x800 state championship team. From Prescott Track and Field, I've got Wiley Monet and Aubrey Kitahata, part of their state champion 4x400 relay team. So we'll be talking more to them about what it was like for track and field this season, and what the future holds, especially for Quentin and Tony, since they'll be graduating, in a few days. Well, graduation day's coming up, man. Oh, excuse me, folks. All right, so break time here on the Roundup, but before we go to break, as always, it's time to see who shined over the past 7 days as we present the Tri-City Sports Roundup 3 Stars of the Week. Starting with the ladies, our number 3 star is Vanessa Brink of the Embry-Riddle softball team. She was the winning pitcher with 8 strikeouts in the Lady Eagles' 10-0 win over Florida National Monday in the opening round of the NAIA World Series. The number 2 star is, we've been talking about him. It's the Prescott girls 4x400 relay team of Aubrey Kitahata, Wiley Monet, Kenzie Blanchard, and Violet Williams. They finished 8th at the Open State Track and Field meet last weekend. And our number 1 star of the week is Libby Lavacek of the Prescott Track and Field team. She placed 7th in the pole vault at the Open State meet last weekend. Now for the guys, our number 3 star is Quentin Metz of the Chino Valley Track and Field team. He finished 18th in the 1,600-meter run at the Open State meet last weekend. The number 2 star is Jesse Capping of the Embry-Riddle baseball team. He threw a complete game victory, striking out 7 in the Eagles' 10-0 win over Oklahoma City Tuesday in the NAIA World Series. And our number 1 star of the week is Tony Hackey of the Chino Valley Track and Field team. He finished 8th in the 800-meter run at the Open State meet last weekend. And by the way, folks, programming note, this will be our final 3 Stars of the Week segment here on the Tri-City Sports Roundup until August, since, sports are pretty much finished now at our colleges and high schools here. So again, no 3 Stars of the Week segment until about August. All right, break time here on the Roundup. We'll be back with more right after this. Welcome back to the Tri-City Sports Roundup, everyone. John Rust with you here on this nice Saturday morning. And, well, it is Champions Day here on the show. With me in the studio, I have Quentin Metz and Tony Hackey from the Chino Valley Track and Field, part of their boys 4x800 state champion relay team, along with Landon Smith and Javier Johns. Javier Johns, you probably might remember him from basketball. He was one of the top players there at Chino. And over to the left of me, from the Prescott Track and Field team, I have Aubrey Kitahara and Wiley Monet from their state champion 4x400 relay team, which also included Violet Williams and Kenzie Blanchard. So now, yes, you know it's that time, folks. We got to find out a little more info on these guys' teammates. So let me start with the Chino Valley contingent here. And by the way, for anyone just joining us, in case you're wondering how come Bradshaw Mountain isn't represented here, I did reach out to their coach. Unfortunately, Coach Calandra said that none of the athletes that she spoke to would be able to make it onto the show today. So we apologize for that, because Bradshaw Mountain, they had quite a few of their girls make some top 10, top 15 finishes at the state meet. So Quentin, I'm going to start with you here, man. Who on the Chino Valley Track and Field team would you say is the best dressed athlete on the team?
I'd say my sister, because she always puts on like bows and she's always really dressed up. Her name's Eliana.
All right. Tony, who would you say is the funniest athlete on the Chino Valley Track and Field team? Just the one that just makes you guys all laugh out loud.
Probably Dylan Farnsworth. Yeah.
Is that Katie Farnsworth's brother?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Okay, I thought, because actually Katie was, she was, in the past, Katie was one of our number one local female athletes of the year on Tri-City Sports Roundup. Phenomenal track and field athlete and soccer player. Quentin, who would you say is probably the most serious athlete on Chino Valley?
I'd say Brody, because he's always warming up, just like very serious.
He's
about the
locked
hurdles.
in.
Yeah.
Brody Ryan, right?
Yeah.
And actually, Brody was a state champion last year, and what was it, the 800-meter run, I think?
The 300 hurdles.
300 hurdles, right. There are a lot of events in track and field, folks. Sometimes it's hard even for me to keep track of them. No pun intended on that one. Tony, who is the most talkative guy on Chino Valley?
I'm going to have to go with Landon on that one.
Oh,
Yeah.
your relay buddy, Landon Smith,
Yeah.
huh?
Once he starts talking and you guys get to know each other, he talks a lot. Yeah.
So basically the kind of guy I'd be like, yo, Landon, I only need like a 10-second soundbite here. We've been talking for like 6 minutes, man. Come on.
Yeah.
All right, so Quentin, who would you say is probably, on the opposite end, the quietest athlete on Chino Valley?
I'd say Maddie, my sister, again.
All right. And Tony, who would you say on Chino Valley can eat the most in one sitting?
I'm giving that a toss-up between Seth and Quentin here. Yeah.
So you can put away the. Well, then again, you're a distance runner, so I guess you got to replenish the calories, huh, Quentin?
Yeah.
Okay, so now let's go over to the Prescott side here. I'm going to start with Wiley. Wiley, who is the best-dressed athlete on the Prescott track and field team?
I would say it's probably our whole relay team, just because we always match. We match our hair, and we just dress nice the whole time.
Okay, Aubrey, who would you say is the funniest athlete on the Prescott track and field team?
I would say the funniest athlete is Jade Fur because she makes all of us laugh and she's literally the funniest person.
I've done a couple interviews with Jade Fur from other sports, and yeah, I can see that. I can see her definitely being the funniest. Wiley, who would you say on the opposite end is probably the most serious athlete on Prescott?
I would say Luke Mason. Yeah, he is very locked in and serious about javelin. He rarely goes out to hang out with us because he's always throwing jav.
Well, then again, I guess it paid off because he came in. What was it? Somewhere in the top 10 in javelin Division III meet.
He
Right?
came in fourth.
I thought it was fourth. Okay. And Aubrey, who would you say is probably the most talkative athlete on Prescott?
The most talkative? I would probably say Jade again.
Yeah.
She's the funniest. She talks too.
I could definitely see that from Jade, yeah. On the opposite end, Wiley, who is probably the quietest athlete on the team?
I would say KJ. He's very quiet, but he's really nice.
Yeah.
All right, and finally, Aubrey, who on Prescott can eat the most in one sitting?
I'm not sure. I feel like, I don't know.
Oh, boy.
It's a good question. I feel like we all could eat a lot of food. Like when we go after our track meets to dinner or something like that, after we're all hungry, and I feel like we eat so fast. But our relay team, I think we all eat a lot. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of eating, looking at you, Tony. Yeah, you know what's going on. Now, but before we went on the air here, Tony was telling me about his special diet for track and field season, and some of you out there might be surprised because you think, oh, athletes they gotta manage their nutrition and make sure they got calories and protein and all that. But Tony, I guess you kind of go in a different direction when it comes to your diet and also your training. So tell the world out there, what is the Tony Hackey method of track and field training?
Honestly, I just McDonald's, Oreos, whatever I feel like eating, I eat. That's
Sour
just what
Patch
I do.
Kids.
Sour Patch Kids, yes, that's a good one too.
Well, that'll give you a lot of sugar and I guess a lot of fuel for short bursts. So that helps.
Yeah.
And now you told me I think at one track and field meet you bought a big bag of Oreos and just polished them off. What about that?
Yeah, I bought at the Chandler Gilbert meet before we went. I bought a party size of the mega stuffed Oreos, ate the whole thing, and then went and ran a 158 800 right there. So yeah.
And also, well, it's not only the diet, but also, a lot of people probably think, oh, these guys they gotta stretch and they gotta warm up and everything, but that's not really for you, is it?
No, Coach Metz will get on me for stretching a lot. Actually, I'm very lazy about it. He'll walk into his room and he'll see me just sitting there and he's like, Tony, stretch.
Yet somehow you delivered a state championship to Chino Valley. You had some great finishes in the 800. So does Coach Metz kind of look at you and go, oh, this guy doesn't train like I would expect athletes to train, but he gives us good results. So I guess whatever works.
Yeah. I know my teammate Brody, he's jealous about it too because he literally gets so mad about it. He's like, I don't understand. You eat the worst out of all of us. You don't stretch, and yet you're still one of the best runners in the state of Arizona. I don't get it.
So Aubrey, is your training method similar to Tony's here, or do you go in a much different direction?
I feel like it's kind of the same. I feel like I don't eat that good and I don't stretch. Through the season, the one thing I don't do is stretch. I'm so bad about that. But I feel like I just eat whatever and I eat a lot during the season. I eat so much. But I mean, I burn it off, so it's okay.
I was going to say, Quinn, what about you, man? It's does your training method differ from these two or what?
I mean, a little bit. I try to eat healthy before the race, but then after the race, I'll eat whatever. I'll go to Cane's and then have soda. And
Well, I can't. Yeah, well, I can't like knock you on going to Cane's, man, because I do. I'm not a big fast food person, but it's like, yeah, if I have to, yeah, I'll do Cane's.
Cane's
Why-
is overrated.
Oh, the controversy begins. Man, the unpopular opinion. But then again, you know what, Tony? I also have unpopular opinions too, man. So it's cool. Wiley, save us here. Are you the one who does the proper training and proper diet or not?
Well,
Oh boy, that well says it all right there.
no. Well, leading up to a meet, throughout the week, I try to drink a lot of water and then eat at least 3 meals a day with some like nutritional value in them. And then on on the meet days, I try to eat like fruit and like some sugars so that I can have a burst of energy when I'm running my race, and then I like to stretch too.
So basically, you're more responsible than these
I
three
guess
now.
so. But after the meets, I don't eat very well.
But again, folks, I've got 4 state champions here with me too, so whatever they're doing, I guess it works, and I'm just one of those people who's like, hey, you know what? So long as it gets the results, let them do whatever they want. Which Coach Metz and Coach Zeminski, I'm sure if they're listening or watching here, they're probably going, John, don't say stuff like that. Also another thing here, now Aubrey, of course, you're part of the relay teams, but track and field athletes, they do other events as well. So what are some of the other events that you do outside of relays?
I started off the season with the 100 and the 200, and I kind of wanted to shift to the 400 because I feel like as a runner, I just am better at that. And I feel like I've grown definitely as a 400 runner. I PR'd, which like personal records, like I was able to push myself through the season and get myself really far, which is I'm pretty proud of. But.
Wiley, what about you? What are some of the other events you do for track and field?
So I ran the 200 for a little while and the 400. I pretty much stuck with the 400 throughout the year, but the 200 I wasn't as competitive in, so I had to drop that and focus on my other 2 or 3 events.
Gotcha. And Tony, well, I know you and Quentin mainly handle the distance events, but Tony, what other events have you done for track and field?
I've done like the 3200 twice. Didn't like that. That was brutal. I definitely wasn't trained for that. And then I've done the mile too. This year I kind of weaned off of it to focus more on the 800. And I wasn't really, I didn't really condition for it. Mm-hmm. But I mean, I still had a decent mile time. It was 4:30. It's just I didn't like it, and the third lap was mentally tough. And it got to me sometimes. So yeah, but those are the other 2 events that I did. So.
All right. And Quentin, yeah, you know what's coming, and I know you've been dreading this because we talked about this before we went on the air. Now, of course, everyone knows you as a really great distance runner here for our area. But last year, I believe it was, you tried your hand at one of the sprints, and I guess that didn't work out well for you, did it?
It did not. Yeah, I strained my hamstring during it, and then I had to sit out the rest of the season, so it's not good.
And I believe you're also telling me, well, for last year, that kind of affected the 4x8, didn't it?
Yeah, they came in almost last at state.
Ooh.
So I think we didn't really have much pressure this year, but we really wanted to medal, and we surprised ourselves.
And basically, you just said, okay, I'm just completely staying away from the sprints, right?
Well, somewhat. I still did the 4x4.
Okay. I'm just talking about the 200 and 100 sprints. You didn't mess with those,
yeah,
right?
I didn't.
Yeah,
not at all.
learned your lesson. And well, speaking of relays, now Aubrey, of course, you have the relays are 4 people. So how do you determine what order each athlete is going to go in for the relays?
I feel like you look at their times, and during practice you can see what they're best at and what their skills are. And I feel like for me, I was able to get off the blocks, and that kind of showed for the 400. And for the second and third runner, Wiley's able to cut over, which made it really good, and she was able to get in front. She's really good at fighting for that. And same with Kenzie, she holds that same pace. And Violet's a fighter, like I said, so she was able to just finish really strong for our relay too.
All right. And Quentin, for the 4x8 team for Chino Valley, how did you determine, who among you and Tony and Javier and Landon, what order they were going to go in?
I think my dad just wanted to choose an order because he knows that I can chase people down, so I think he wanted me to put me second, and then also Tony can chase people down, so he put him last, so we would, at the end, we would get them.
Mhm. And then basically, I guess Landon and Javier, they're the ones, and I think it was either Aubrey or Wiley who kind of came up with this before we went on the air. But I guess they were the ones who were able to kind of keep pace with the other ones to get Tony in a good position to win the race, huh?
Yeah. Yeah, Javi started off as in 7th, and then I got us back into 2nd, and then I handed off to Landon. He kept us in 2nd, and then obviously handed off to Tony. He drifted a little bit, but then he got us back into 1st at the end.
Mhm. All right. I don't know. Maybe it's the power of the double stuffed Oreos, I guess, that does it. And, well, of course, for you two guys, come Wednesday night, you're going to be getting your diplomas and leaving Chino Valley High School. So, and Quentin, you're already set up. You are actually going to be running at Grand Canyon University next season.
Yeah, I am. It's going to be cool because both my parents ran there, so I think it'll be good competition and good training. So.
All right. And Tony, I believe you told me that you're going to be going to Mesa College to run for their track and field team, right?
Yeah.
Okay. What made you decide that Mesa was the place you wanted to go?
I had like a lot of other teams like show interest, but Coach Dan was the only one that actually like showed that he was really interested. Like all of them were like, yeah, we're interested, but we're not really going to try that hard to like get you out here. And Coach Dan, he actually showed that he was interested, and that's what sold it for me. So.
All right. And, well, Wiley, you're what, junior or sophomore?
Junior.
Okay. And Aubrey, you're a
Sophomore.
okay. So basically, you don't really got to worry about college plans for a
Yeah,
while,
not
do you?
yet, yeah.
But Wiley, do you hope to run in college or what?
Yes, I do. If I can get some scholarships for it, then that would be great. I would love to run in college.
Okay. And Aubrey, what about you? Do you have plans to hopefully run in college one day?
Yeah, I really hope I can run in college and definitely just like continue running track because I've loved it for a long time. So it'd be cool to continue that.
Okay. Well, hey, folks, unfortunately, we're coming up to the end of our show here, but certainly a great show. Again, how many sports talk shows out there get to have 4 state champions on their show? Well, ours here does. Tri-City Sports Roundup. We've got Quentin Metz, Tony Hackey from Chino Valley Track and Field, part of the state champion 4x800 relay team. Prescott High School Track and Field, we've got Wiley Monet and Aubrey Kitahata, part of their state champion 4x400 relay team. Certainly a pleasure to have them in here to talk to them and just to really celebrate a tremendous accomplishment that here in our little neck of the woods in northern Arizona, we can produce some outstanding track and field athletes. Even track and field athletes whose training methods are to eat double stuffed Oreos and not stretch. But you know what? It brought home a state championship. That's all that matters. Gentlemen, ladies, again, I want to thank you very much for joining us here on the Tri-City Sports Roundup. And again, congratulations on your state championships. Well earned. Good luck. And hey, for you two, best of luck next year. Well, best of luck to you guys next year, too, at college.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you for having us.
You got it. All right. And, of course, folks, coming up next week, it's going to be graduation day for Chino, Bradshaw Mountain, Prescott. And I plan on covering all 3 of those graduations, which means I'm unfortunately going to have to miss the Amon Amarth concert in Phoenix. Darn it, miss them again. Every time they come to Phoenix, something always comes up. By the way, just so you know, Amon Amarth is an outstanding Viking metal band from Sweden, and everyone says, "Oh man, they're great live. You got to see them live." But I never do. One of these days, maybe. All right, folks, that's going to do it for our show again. Thank you very much for joining us, and we'll see you again next week.